right, we're going to call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone. We appreciate everybody being here tonight. First thing we're going to do is we're going to welcome our newest member to the board, and that's Jay Cornelius, and we really appreciate it and look forward to all the expertise you have to fulfill us with.
Thank you, Jack. I'm happy to be here.
Okay. Next thing is his first official duty. He's going to be the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to let Jay lead us through that.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jay. Let it be noted that Parish is not here. He's out of town, and also that Dave Garner is on his way, stuck in traffic, so he may be getting here a little later. So the first thing we need to do is have a motion for the agenda, to adopt the agenda. Could I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Can I show of hands? Well, wait just a minute. Yeah, can I have a show of hands? Okay, everybody, any further discussion? No, I don't think so. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I need approval for the minutes for, it's been a while since we've been together, July the 25th of 2022. Can I have a motion for approving the minutes for July the 25th of 2022?
Motion to approve minutes.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Kirk, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hands. Let it be known that it's all unanimous. Okay. Unfinished business. Okay. Consideration and approval for raising money for the Christmas lights. As y'all well know, we talked about this in our last meeting in July, where we talked about maybe me going out in the community and getting some lights. Welcome everyone. So we wanted to get more Christmas lights for our Christmas setting. I need a motion to approve raising money up to $10,000 for Christmas lights for this year. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve the raising of funds up to the total of $10,000.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I may, the board, I believe, is probably in best interest, once we've raised the funds, before any purchases are made, the board be the approval on which items to purchase.
Correct. Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Okay. All right. Can I have a motion? Excuse me, can I have a vote? Everybody show their hands. It's unanimous. Okay, so that is approved. Okay. Tonight we're having a public comment, and this is, if everyone that wants to come forward, if you come to this podium, state your name. You have 5 minutes to make a comment on any kind of comment that you would like to make for the public. So those who would start, go ahead.
Is it just me?
Whoever.
Right. Thank you, guys. I'm Vera Kleinberger from Keep Pickens Beautiful. I know all of you, or kind of met all of you. To give a little bit of history, for those who might not be aware, KPB is one of the oldest organizations in Pickens County. We've been around since the 80s, and our focus is on waste reduction, recycling, beautification, and education. We want to be a good example for the community of Pickens County and just try to improve the overall environment. In July of 2021, we met with the mayor, Mayor Steve Lawrence, to discuss beautification efforts along Main Street with a focus on the north end, where the marble fountain had been. And he suggested that we focus on the garden spaces along Main Street instead, because he had applied for a grant and was planning on improving that space. So the Chamber of Commerce had been maintaining them, and we got permission from them to take over the garden spaces. But that was in September. Fall was already coming. We put some plants in the ground with the plan of coming back in April in the spring and doing a bigger planting. Right before our meeting, I got word from the DDA that you were planning on hiring a landscaper. So we created a partnership at the beginning of April to clean out all of the garden beds from all of the plants that were in there. You asked that the soil level be brought up because it was about 3 inches below the sidewalk. And so Keep Pickens Beautiful had received a grant from the community thrift store. We used $1,200 of that grant to buy soil, compost, and mulch to improve the garden spaces and fill that space up, get it ready for new plants. And then the following weekend, we had a workshop with volunteers to plant the hundreds of plants that we had been growing all throughout the winter. So this has truly become a community project. We have hundreds of volunteers who have planted plants, who now have a personal relationship with downtown. The garden beds have grown in beautifully. The landscaper came in a couple of weeks after our planting and added his ornamental flowers that the DDA had hired him for. Everything filled in beautifully, has looked great. There were some plants that had died that when I had asked Kirk if he wanted me to replace them, he said, leave them. You told me that the landscaper was going to be weeding and maintaining the garden beds. After several weeks of them continuing to be dead, we actually pulled them all out and replaced them with various times. The grass in the garden spaces in front of the drugstore was growing higher and higher, and also in front of what's going to be the bakery also got very weedy. I left it in June for about 3 weeks until it got really bad, and I saw the landscaper was not coming to maintain them. So me and some of the KPB office staff went out there and cleaned up all of the garden beds on Main Street. So our staff and volunteers have really done a lot of maintenance to keep them weeded, to pick up the trash, to pick up the cigarette butts, and to replant plants, as we saw fit whenever they were dying. There are some beds that need a little bit of work, like in front of the Cinnabis Bank, but that also were a lot of the landscapers' plants that if you go down there, you see that they're not there anymore because they've all died. So I don't understand why Keep Pickens Beautiful can't continue to collaborate with the DDA. If the issue is that the landscaper doesn't know which plants to pull, he doesn't know which are ours and which are his to come back and plant in the fall, we have a workshop already scheduled for the 8th. And we'll be happy to pull the ornamental plants so that he can come in, a few weeks later and plant around them. So all I'm asking for is really just to have a conversation, a way to continue this partnership. I was going to read some of the hundreds of comments that we've gotten. 3 of our Facebook posts have been shared more than 50 times, have had more than 12,000 views. That's bigger than any post that I've posted in the last 2 years on Keep Pickens Beautiful. So the response from the community has been amazing. Of all of those comments, and I've read almost all of them, only one has said, oh, I think a landscaper is a good idea. One of our staff ladies walked up and down Main Street talking to all the businesses. I think she missed 3 of them. Almost every single one of them, was for keeping the gardens, keeping the partnership going. We have pages of signatures from people on Main Street that wanted more information and wanted to support us. So the community, in no other way other than anything else that KPB has done, has been rallying behind this effort. And so I'm hoping that we can work together.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other further discussion? Go ahead. Do state your name also.
Hi, my name is Maggie Carullo, and I'm a recent resident to Jasper. One of the reasons my husband and I, when we were looking up in North Georgia as to whether we would reside here or not, was the fact that when we took a walk down Main Street, we noticed that it's not uniform like every other city. And the gardens make it a hometown feel. So that was definitely a plus for us to come and live here. This is a small town, it has that small town feel, and that's exactly what we were looking for. I volunteered with KPB to go and do roadside pickup, and I have to tell you, the message that KPB wants to put out there is amazing, so I eventually ended up working with them. The gardens is something that volunteers have given wholeheartedly for free, and to pull those gardens out, honestly, would be to rip out the hearts of these volunteers. So thank you for your time, and please consider that.
Thank you. Do we have any other public that would like to comment? Maybe you can come first, I think, wait just a minute, she come in first, you want to come up?
My name is Kim Eccles. This is definitely outside of my comfort zone. I'm not a member of the KPB, and I saw a Facebook post. I'm a taxpayer within the city limits of Jasper, and for a little bit over a decade. And one of the things that I enjoy about our downtown area are those gardens. So when I saw the post, as a concerned citizen, I felt led to come here tonight and voice my opinion. Why would we pay for someone to take care of something in an artificial, commercial, nondescript way when we have people that are willing to make our downtown beautiful for free? That's my question. And really, I don't have a side, I just want to know. As a person and as a taxpayer in the city. So I look forward to hearing the reasoning behind such an action. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm Janice Kleinberger. I'm a member of KPB. I always get the letters mixed up. But there's another dimension, in addition to what you've heard already, that I believe, and have worked in this community in the past through another nonprofit that I tried to get going here, to make our community really different than the other communities in North Georgia. Give us a sustainability, and making Jasper a healthy lifestyle community will draw in so much ecotourism, which is on a boom. There's a bunch of other things going on here that are totally all about sustainability and environmental concerns. Everything from the farmers markets and the artists that are coming in here, and I mean, it's just so beautiful that this is a visible, the gardens on Main Street are visible representation of this being a different kind of community that can totally help the growth. It can make this, us, stand out tremendously from all the other small towns in North Georgia. So in addition to all of, community building efforts, there's no downside to this. And I know that Keep Pickens Beautiful wants to be a collaborative partner. It doesn't have to be landscape or them. They're saying, let's just keep this going and make it beautiful, use both. They work well with the landscape company. So why pull out all these wonderful plants? And they're going to have flowering plants in the fall too that are sustainable and will eventually keep filling those areas up so that there won't need any maintenance at all. So I just hope that you all will take that into consideration and help Jasper shine in North Georgia.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anybody else?
Thank you, everybody. My name's Donnie Loud, you'll all know me probably. I spent my 69 years in Pickens County. Moved into the city of Jasper in '78. And walking from one of my favorite things was to go up to the post office, to the progress office, and sit there in the little edible Jasper garden we built and watch the sunrise. And that was just my little, just loved it. And I got to get plants out of it, and I brought plants up there, and there's a rosemary bush up there that I took care of for probably 10 years now. And it's just strange to me that this is going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Just a minute.
Good evening.
My name is Kaylee Knox. I too live in Pickens County. And this particular project is something that I find extraordinarily beneficial to the city and to the county. And I would like to see it not only continue, but to grow. And it is something that I and others that I know would like to be able to donate towards. I'd love to see us have an orchard. I would love to see us have a true edible and educational garden that is part of our downtown. We have so much pedestrian traffic. We have so much grassroots involved in Pickens County, whether it's a distillery, which is farming and agriculture, a brewery, which is also farming and agriculture, farm-to-table restaurants that line the street. We can have our own farm in the street, so people can truly understand and garner the education behind farm-to-table. And we have a lot of underprivileged people in Pickens County. So to be able to continue a garden that will flourish and help feed those that are undereducated in how to feed themselves or undernourished, I think is vastly beneficial. And so I'm hoping that this is something that can continue and can grow, but obviously everybody wants to work in a partnership. Do we want pretty flowers in the fall for all of the fall festivals? Absolutely. A lot of those are also edible, not just decorative. So I think that these are things that can be tagged on, and that these two varying aspects can coincide. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else? At this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Kirk Raffield.
Mr. Chairman, looking at the agenda, we have, once we close the public comment section, we'll move on to new business.
Oh, that's right, okay.
The item number 2, I believe, is.
Yeah, that's right, okay, excuse me, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Okay, so the first order of new business is about Perrow Park. And Kim is here to tell us about what's going on with Perrow Park.
Thank you for having me this evening. As you may have seen, last week council approved the plan to go forward with Goodwood Mills and Kaywood, that's GMC out of Atlanta, as our architectural firm for the Perrow Park project. We're currently in contract negotiations with them on that, and anticipate that we should be entering that first phase, which is going to be the developing the preliminary architectural report, the very preliminary conceptual designs, things like that for the park, everything that we need in order to be able to go to the ARC, the Appalachian Regional Commission, with our grant application for that project. So just wanted to let everyone know that. Any questions for me?
Are you headed to another meeting?
I had to slip out of that one, and I'm going to slip back into it, so thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Now, with no further ado, turn it over to Kirk.
Tara, one of you. The other way. There you go. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This evening, I'm thankful that all of you guys are here in the audience. It's wonderful to see the engagement of our public. Oftentimes our meetings don't have an audience, and that's kind of disappointing. When people like you show up, it makes a difference.
I do want to say that I watch almost all of them on YouTube.
So we are now YouTube stars. Welcome, Jay. YouTube star Jay Cornelius. What we're going to talk about tonight is the Downtown Jasper Escapes on Main initiative, where it came from, what it is meant to be, and how we're going to proceed. The Downtown Development Authority is the one that is over this initiative. The DDA is a volunteer board. You'll see that the DDA held a retreat in February of 2022. We had multiple initiatives that were discussed and decided on. And board, you'll have a copy of this presentation quickly. The Escapes on Main was an initiative that was adopted by the DDA. And then the next item below, you'll see that the council and the mayor of the city of Jasper concurred and supported this initiative. There was a discussion back, as Baird recalled, in July of 2021 with the mayor in reference to downtown. The Chamber of Commerce had been very helpful and beneficial to our community in helping us try to navigate the waters of maintaining that downtown area. DDA then took it over. The city decided that was the best part for us to play, and then I was made the main contact and leader for the initiative. So my entire goal was to make downtown look better than it currently did. As you'll see on the screen, there are a couple of images on the left versus the right. This is just a stark contrast. So when you talk about the differencing, both of these are in downtown right now. The left is with a professional vendor providing certain material to those flowers and those plants. The right is without that. There's a major difference just from a visual standpoint. This board made it very clear in the retreat. Our goal was to have downtown look better and to have a welcoming feel to all. Some of these do look better than some others. Some of them have latex gloves in them, which we'll address. You go through, some of them are filled out, some of them have height to them, some of them have lavender, rosemary that have height, some have ornamentals on the edges, some are overflowing the edges. Now these here bring a particular point of interest to me. The ones on the left look pretty scarce. There's more to be desired. There is no color in that bed. Although the one in the background, there is a little bit of color. If you'll recall, these were actually planted by my family. So what we did, I'll get to you in just a minute, Barry, hold on. So what we did was when we had the workshops, I am a friend of Baird's and of KPB. I love the organization and the direction. I believe in what you do. And so we were out and part of this, and we believe that these flower beds would turn around and be able to fulfill and flourish and go about from there. Now, April 2nd, April 24th, their emails listed out where KPB acknowledged on April 2nd that if the DDA decided to move with a landscaper, that all they needed was time in advance so they could relocate plants. The second email says, most importantly, thanks again for the city's help in moving. So the city did help in kind with moving material. The $1,200 grant that KPB did was brought over from the local business here once it was purchased. Then on April 24th, it was acknowledged that the DDA is going to make a decision about Main Street garden spaces. If you decide to go with a landscaping company, please give us a heads up so we can work on relocating our plants. That was April 24th. April 25th, the DDA held a meeting. A professional vendor was selected. So it's not that we're selecting a vendor tonight. We selected a vendor April 25th of this year. What we decided that night was bi-weekly maintenance by the professional vendor, an annual cost of $4,600. Spring and fall plantings, and crepe myrtle trimming. So what we've experienced through the partnership is there's been a little bit of obstacles to overcome in reference to maintaining the gardens and the beds and determining what can be used on the beds, what can't be used on the beds. Obviously, when you have a professional vendor versus the KPB initiative, there are some differences in the way that you treat maintenance and love on those plants. So on August 29th, hope the email finds you well and healthy. You may have noticed some changes in downtown recently. Some of the trees being removed, some maintenance around the area. These are all part of the long-term plan of the DDA. As you're aware, the DDA chose Hemlock's landscaping for the beautification of downtown and partnered with KPB for the sidewalk planter boxes. The partnership was done on a trial basis, as we discussed multiple times, to see how things would progress. The partnership has presented limitations to Hemlocks on what they can do with the plantings in downtown. In that spirit, it has been determined by the DDA that the planter boxes in Jasper should be maintained by a professional vendor, and the vendor will be in charge and fully responsible for the downtown area beginning in late September. All planter boxes will be under their care. They have the authority to add or remove anything they wish. We appreciate the work and dedication that KPB have shown. I look forward to working with you on another idea in the future where we can play in the dirt again. That was sent on August 29th to give advance warning until late September. 20 days later, I get a response at 12 o'clock. That was the first response. Now, I do understand it went to spam. The second response was 2 hours later, stating that this has now gone to social media because I did not request a meeting with KPB board. I granted 20 days, I was given 2 hours. This is a volunteer position. The areas behind the old jail, beside the KPB cabin and in the progress lot, are still areas where KPB thrives with plantings. You may remove your Main Street plantings if you wish and place them at other locations. At this time, the vendor has advised of a timeline for their crews to be on site the week of October 17th. So that actually pushes the timeline back. So this was sent on September 19th. The week of October 17th is when they're coming in. So this is later than originally advised. You have more time to plant, to relocate plants if you wish. And I am more than happy to come help with this. Me and my family would love to play in the dirt. Now, this is a screenshot of social media. What I want to address are some of the comments all of you have made, and I thoroughly agree with 99% of what you're saying. Ornamental versus edible. That is a huge sticking point, and I do agree. Sorry, I can't see you way over there. I do agree there's a place for edible, and there's also a place for ornamental. The weeding and the trash, we will talk to the vendor about that. What to pull or what to leave is not an issue. Our vendor is well aware, as the professionals they are, what to pull and what to leave. We're simply running into a maintenance issue. We can't use liquid fertilizer that we need from the professional vendor to flourish the plantings, and it's not in line with KPB. Why pay for this? We're already paying for this. And so the $4,600 in April that was approved was for the entire downtown area. The partnership with KPB was in addition to that. So we're not going to pay anything extra, so that's the good news. There's no extra funding in place for this. What this does is this actually allows our vendor to place all the plants that we were quoted for. Once we decided to partner with KPB on this with a professional vendor, the vendor did come in after KPB and we did the plantings originally. They weren't able to give us our full stock of plants because we already had KPB in the ground. We were fine with that. Community building, that is a phenomenal point. Who mentioned community building? When you look at this screen and I see that KPB and other members have gone in and there are hundreds of comments. I read them too here, don't worry. I spent some time and I was looking, I'm like, man, people like this. But what's discouraging is this volunteer board does this for the betterment of their community. And when you like every comment, but I get to one that says who's getting a kickback from the landscaper, I want to make it very clear to everyone. This board is not corrupt. This board is above board. This board is doing the right thing for the right reason. And I would highly suggest, especially on the local level, that is where you're going to gain trust or lose trust. We serve in this capacity because we love this place just like you do. If you see that, or you see somebody's getting paid off, and I've blurred out all the names, please, in an intelligent and kind manner, remind them we are all in the same community. We are not enemies. We are not foes. We are in this together. And you'll notice in there, in all fairness, KPB did right, that we did enter this relationship as a tribe. And so when you talk about community building, are we truly building it on social media or are we tearing it down? So that's a choice. Landscaper or KPB, that's also the wrong way of looking at it. It's not one or the other. If it was one or the other, we would do our best to remove KPB from all areas of downtown. We're not doing that. What we're doing is we're taking the squares that are in downtown and we're allowing that professional vendor that was selected to come in and fulfill what they've been contracted to do by the DDA, paid for by the taxpayers. There are other areas, and Donnie, I know you mentioned the Progress lot. That is a private lot. Those areas will not be touched. So the area by the Mule House will remain a garden. The area by the Progress lot will remain a garden. The area behind the Kirby Quinton cabin will remain a garden. The area around the KPB cabin in downtown will remain a garden. So we're certainly not coming in and removing anything off of private property and even some public property. It's just these planter boxes. So your sunrises and your 10-year-old plant are still good. They won't be touched. You want this to grow and be a true edible, this program, and I agree. You cannot grow Main Street. Main Street's as big as it's ever going to get. And those squares, they're not going to get any bigger either. And so I think if we were to work together, I think we might be able to find some allocated land to create a habitat that's more sustainable on a long-term vision. So I certainly agree with that. Farming the streets and feeding those in need. Farming the streets is interesting because I'll be honest, I've had a couple of professional vendors tell me I do not suggest eating anything that's near automobiles and emissions. Oil, transmission fluid, things like that. Not to mention when you look at social media, people are saying, hey, my dog peed on that. That's a whole nother topic. You need to walk your dog better. And feeding those in need. There's actually a food pantry in our community, which is a phenomenal thing, but there are some that can't get there, and they don't have the means to get there. And so I know that the First Baptist Church in Jasper has a food pantry box. They have a book box. There are a couple of resources there. I think there's a way that if we were to work together to find land to be able to create something on a larger scale, more sustainable, in the right area, it could probably service all those populations that we were talking about. Because the last thing you want to do is marginalize them even more than they already are. And so with all that being said, our expected fall planning schedule is the week of October 17th. our professional vendor will come in, and I have already volunteered and signed up, hopefully with Vera to come and help, relocate what needs to be relocated. We can use the trucks we have, whatever we need in my family. So I encourage you, if you're here tonight and you're very passionate about this, please do not let this go to the wayside. Sign up for the relocation or whatever Vera suggests. We want to do it together. Again, it's not us versus them. So that's the presentation. You can look forward to Main Street looking a little different come October 17th that week sometime. And I think, Chairman, someone did have some questions for me, if you want to allow them time.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Out of curiosity, what are the odds of making the squares raised beds? Because that would eliminate the dog problem, which isn't all that huge a problem currently, but will get more so in the future. But with raised beds, you have more control over what's in them, what hits them, the contaminants, essentially. And then when it comes to other edibles, and I understand what you're saying, but an orchard would be beautiful.
Yeah.
To be able to add fruit trees or fig trees, I'm happy to donate them. I can partner with Tractor Supply. I know plenty of we can get trees, and they can be expensive or they can be relatively inexpensive if you're willing to save them. But I think the ability to add edibles above the exhaust, for instance, or in areas that are less touched by exhaust, in raised beds, lining some of the area that's between Penley Creek and Tacos and Margaritas. They have all their water troughs as raised beds. We can do edible gardens along the thoroughfares, the walkways, where people will still have access to them. It's still a beautification of downtown, and it's not directly in the exhaust stream either. So that's just one example. But I'm wondering if there is room for any of those kind of caveats.
So currently in downtown, no. This board, hired that professional vendor. What would be highly advised to be an experiment or a test of it off premise under the purview of KPB on private property as a pilot. And once you've got a proven track record of what that looks like, then that would probably be something to bring back to the board. But at this time, the board's going to move forward with what we voted on in April. Yes, ma'am, you were first.
So I just want to note that multiple of the pictures that you used as examples of empty beds were ones that I came through 3 days ago and cut back a bunch of plants knowing that they were near the end of the season and they were going to be replanted. So I do want to make a note that those, the ones that you said,
What day was that?
It was Friday maybe?
Okay.
Thursday, Friday, sometime last week. The ones that you said that your family planted, those were full marigolds that had 10 flowers left on them. So I came through and I cut those last week because I did not want dead plants on Main Street to be used as an example of, look at all these dead plants on Main Street. So now instead it was, look at these empty flower boxes on Main Street. So there's that.
Yep.
The other note is, this is really to serve as an educational example. One of the messaging issues that I acknowledge that we have with Edible Jasper is we're not necessarily growing food for, vegetable gardens. Yeah, you don't see tomato plants, you don't see cucumbers, you don't see anything that's going to grow big and trellisy. We really try and focus on herbs, medicinals, and native plants to serve as an example. So, all of our gardens have a sign like this that's got a QR code, except for the ones on Main Street, because you don't want signs on there. We have these signs already printed for Main Street with the QR code. They're just not up anywhere. Where people can go there and learn about the plant, learn how you grow it, learn what it's used for. We're going to be adding recipes and all these other things. So, no, we don't necessarily intend people to eat off of Main Street. There are some things that I will eat off of Main Street that are above the dog level. But no, they're really more of an educational tool. Even some of the plants that we've let go to seed. So there was a kale that went to seed, there was a parsley that went to seed. Those are all being turned into educational tools that we're going to be, adding to our website once I get on top of my projects. So I just want to elaborate that there is a little bit more to what all of this is than, as presented.
So the way I describe this is it's Edible Jasper on the move. That's how I'm going to describe it right now, is because I'm looking forward to working with you on deciding where you're putting things. So once you decide, you let me know, and then we'll
We'll
work
have a
together. and get
workshop on October 8th.
it. We'll be there. Thank y'all.
I want to thank everyone for being here today and looking forward to working with y'all. And we'll try to be there on October the 8th to make a further discussion about this. There is some options out there. Me and Kirk had some discussion this morning. So we're going to work with y'all. It's not going to be cut and dry. Okay, so just let it be that way, all right? With that, I'll leave it and we'll go to the next agenda item on the, unless you got anything else, Kirk, you want to
No,
add?
I'm good.
Okay, thank y'all again for being here. All right, so the next agenda item is, let's see. Well, that'll be me on the update on the art walk. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a great event on our first September, or second, excuse me, the second Friday in September, second Friday. And to be honest with you, there's 3 people in this room that were sort of apprehensive, and I'm going to say who that is. Angela Reinhardt, Green Souls, and myself, thinking about what was going on. We were thinking maybe 200 to 300 people. We had 1,400 people at the event. And everybody said, well, that was the place of that. They were saying that was the employees. No, that was not the employees. They were taken out. We had 13,000 hits on the Jasper map. So we had a great time. Everybody was loving this event. It's going to be even better. We're doing some different things this coming in October the 2nd. It's the 14th. We'll have minds for the kids. We got more people involved. There's 26 venues, maybe 27 now. So, am I leaving anything out? Other than we got 3 bands. There was 2 last time. There was supposed to be 3, but there's 2. There'll be 3 this time. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope y'all come between 6 and 9. I'll say this, my artist who I had, she sold the most she had ever sold in an art in a festival. So it was just a lot of fun. With that, I'll
When's the next one, Jack?
it's October the 14th from 6 to 9. And it's just, I can't get, like I said, I can't wait to see what's going to happen this time. All right, so now let's get into the committee reports. The first one is financials. In your packet, you'll notice that there's a financial report in there. If you notice, we started out with a $9,217.76. Right now, we're at $11,116.02. The DDA will be, we got $2,400 more taken out of that. I can tell you that I've raised $600 as sponsors for the art walk, so we'll have a little bit more money. And so we're right on schedule. We're looking forward to next year where we can get from the city and the council and see what kind of money we'll have for next year. Any questions on the financials? Okay. We'll go to the second Saturday, and a gentleman that's done well, this whole group has done a tremendous job. Marty Callahan, but Marty's took the lead, and so Marty, I'll let you start.
All right, thanks, Jack. I've got 2 handouts for each member of our authority to review. I apologize for not getting this to you earlier, but both the transcriber and the we're on vacation last week, so. The first one I'll look at is exactly the second Saturday. I wanted to break it down, what you went over in the financials for the DDA for the whole ledger was just, I'm going to give you a specific on just what our 4 events for second Saturday provided. The donations are listed there for you to review. From there, we had ranges from anywhere from $500 up to $5,000 of foundational gift from a couple. So there we have a total of $35,075 in total amounts that were as a source of donations, including the $20,000 from the city of Jasper that was given to us back in April. The expenses of each event are listed there for a total of $27,778.30 for a net profit of the events of $7,296.70. So we are showing what's a proper event for the restriction for the budget that we had last for, and we also have plans to carry that money hopefully over to the next year. And the second sheet I presented is the calendar for the 2023 that we're going to propose along to the council, hopefully in their first meeting in October. We have events planned tentatively out for second Saturdays. There's one in April that will probably move to the third Saturday of April because of it being coinciding with spring break. And so that will be moved probably to the third, but the rest of them will fall, and we're going to try to do possibly 8 or 9 events next year, starting in March, and coinciding with the Shamrock Stroll and the Reinhardt College, the Pickens Scholars event that they have, and Dale Marcy's here today, and we've been working together on that. That'll be March 11th. That'll be our first one. That's the first second Saturday event that we're going to try to do for 2023 in conjunction with the Shamrock Stroll, and we're working on that already. We've already had a couple of meetings about that, and we've got some great ideas for that. We're going to be having an arts festival in spring. We're going to have a chili cook-off in April, a bluegrass festival. We're going to have several things coming up. So we will. I just need to present this to our DDA to get your blessing and move forward with their project for next year. I believe it was pretty successful this year. It exceeded, I think, all of our expectations, and I have everybody in the world wanting to know when we're doing one for this month, which unfortunately we're not having one in October, but we're going to take a break. There's a lot of other festivals and other events going on in October, and I feel like that's one of the reasons we probably didn't do it in October, is because there's so many other things going on. But we do want to make a plan for next year to have these events, and the first one will be March 11th, and I hope to have a lot more people volunteer for this next one, and we've already got a sponsorship level of about 6 different levels that we're going to start promoting right after the Marble Festival. We wanted to wait till that was over to get that out. We're hoping to raise anywhere between $20,000 and $30,000 just in donations for that for next year. So we'll get the city's blessing and hopefully some financial support from them starting for next year. Any other questions about that?
Kirk, Jay? I just want to say, Marty, you and Amy and Kurt and everybody in this room have done an excellent job. I know there's been several of us that's been out on a couple occasions, but this was a dream of ours, and it's went to the fullest, and I really appreciate all y'all's hard work and your leadership in this, you and Amy's leadership, so thank you again for doing that. Amy, if you want to go to the business development?
Sure, I'll just read Parish's update or email. On August 3rd, Marty, Parish, and Amy met with members of the Canton DDA. The purpose of the meeting was to learn from them what things they've done that they feel have been important to the development of downtown Canton and what obstacles they faced, if any, that we could possibly face as well. It appears that the relationship they share with their city council is similar to the positive relationship we have with ours. They shared a few success stories on projects that occurred in their downtown and gave us a list of initiatives which they have worked on. One key takeaway for us was how they viewed their role in the economic development of downtown Canton. They all strongly believed that their role was one of a supportive nature, where the Canton City Council was the entity that drove what and when the economic development would occur in their downtown, and the DDA would be brought in as necessary to help them accomplish the City Council's mission. Another key takeaway was their feeling that a meeting is held annually with employees from every city department, members of the City Council, and members of the DDA, where the vision of the City Council is shared with all involved. The meeting was put on by their city manager. We are in favor of such a meeting here and felt it would be beneficial to outline the strategic priorities to these key stakeholders, as well as assist in the DDA's ability to support and grow downtown Jasper. So basically that is Amy, Marty, and Parish We met, in addition to that, on a couple of key properties that we potentially could look at, but it's so in the infant stages right now. We're still learning, and that meeting with the city of Canton was really a catalyst for us, that we really realized what we needed to work on, so.
Well, Amy, I appreciate y'all going down there, even
Thank
Parish, and what you've learned, and, you know, this is where we learned as well, this is where we started. So with that, I will go to the social media, and again, that's for you, Amy.
Oh.
Just take your time right now.
That's kind of boring. There's nothing really to report on our social media.
Okay.
We've just been growing our pages and trying to be an information page rather than a communication page, so.
As you
Nothing
see,
exciting.
your board is going out in the community and trying to do a lot of things. We're just not thinking about what we're doing. We're going out and making things happen, such as art walks, such as Second Saturday. And not only that, there's other things that we can't talk about right now, but we are trying to do a lot for this community. We appreciate the council's support, the city manager, and the mayor. And so we will continue to do those things. And with that, I'm going to close. Anybody, Kirk?
A few things. Thank you, Chairman. Speaking of the meeting that you held with Canton, it's important for us to have that goal of having an annual meeting between the departments, the city, and the DDA. It's a vision cast, basically. What's even more important right now for this body, in my opinion, is to go into the budget process for the first time as a body. So what I'd like to suggest, and this is not my committee, so I apologize if I'm stepping on anyone's toes, is that we do allow the chairman to go ahead and get a poll on dates proposed for budget retreat. Once we have a budget retreat and we're able to provide solid numbers, the chairman and I can present it to the city council and the city manager through the financial director, make sure everything's on board. And then that'll really help square up for next year, because Marty, you did a phenomenal job. Next year's gonna be bigger and better. So if we could just start working on the budget retreat, the sooner the better. I'd say October sometime. If we could present it to council, which that means it would go through us, it would go through the city manager, the finance director, to the council in November, that would be phenomenal if possible. Other than that, the city council on September 15th did approve, this is economic development, they did approve, I guess, budgets and assets for a 4-week of prep for a production to be occurring inside the city near Cove Road. That's actually DDA-owned property near the mines. And so there's going to be about 4 weeks of prep from October to November, October 10th, November 15th, somewhere in there. And then the production's going to wrap up between November 19th and November 23rd. There's probably going to be an approximate 30 people in the production side or the prep side working in our area. And then when they actually start shooting, that doubles to 60 jobs in our area. And so we look forward to that being done. I don't have a lot of details on the production itself, but it's exciting that people are taking note of Jasper.
Any other comments from you, Jamie, Marty? With that, I'll call this meeting to adjourn.
Thank you.